Welcome to High Oracle's Reiki Spiritual Healing Channel. And what we are discussing is having a knowing about something without actually being in that place around the person, without actually knowing where it came from. Having a connection to different people, to different places, and even to animals. And I especially love that one. We are talking about extrasensory perception, ESP. When we are talking about being connected to people and having a knowing what's going on in their lives, picking up some of those fragments from their lives and being able to verbalize that, being able to communicate that, what has gone on with certain people in history, what has gone on with certain people. A lot of our people have been demonized for having these types of clairvoyances. And being able to verbalize it and communicate in detail some of the things that will happen in the future or in the past. So when you are a person that has this type of clairvoyance, ESP, that you are connected to God and you can pick up those fragments and bits of information, you're able to see that information, you're able to feel that information. Then in many cases, these types of younger people, because a lot of the young men and women do not know that they have these types of, clairvoyances, these types of gifts, and they will use them, as a child without knowing or understanding the gifts. They would think that it was normal because they were a child. So when people who are in society will notice that this child can pick up on different frequencies, kind of like a twin can, finish each other's sentences. This child is one of the chosen ones. And in many cases, you will have different types of scientists. You will have different types of people who are the elite that want to study this child. You will have different types of scientific narcissists, spiritual narcissists that want to, siphon the energy and take that type of gift away from that child. They will do experiments on these types of children. They have been doing experiments on these types of children that show their shining, that show their light. And if it was not controlled by their parents, they would outright take those children. They would put those children on medication, or they would execute those children for their gifts, for their mind, for their body parts. And these are just some of the ways that we understand that, they were sacrificing children at a very young age. Usually when they were babies, when they understood that they had this type of ESP. There are other gifts, that goes beyond the five senses. And so these people have been studied. These children have been studied. The families have been studied. And those children who were deemed to have this type of gift were taken away from their families. They were isolated from their families. They were turned against their families. A lot of these children that could not control their gifts. A lot of these parents who have moved away from the ancestors in order to know how to control those types of children with those gifts, especially if they were born mentally challenged, physically challenged, blind, mute. You know, those types of parents who fail to understand how to control those types of gifts in themselves and their children, they were usually experimented on, and that part of, their brain was removed. They were usually experimented on, being injected with different types of, shots, inoculated at a very early age that caused defects, that caused the mutation of the gift, or even causing, the passing of the child or unaliving. So, when you are talking about our parents, when we are talking about, why this entity does not want to let us go as a nation, then you are understanding, because they are harvesting the gifts. They are sacrificing the children for their gifts. They are harvesting the organs to put into other people so that they believe that they will have these gifts of these children that they sacrifice. So that they take these gifts away from you so that their people will have them. So, this is one of the reasons why we have to make sure that we are understanding, that we're calling back our power, that we do not use our gifts, that we do not use our gifts to create innovations for these people. You only want to, whatever you create, we can market it to someone else besides these people. So we want to make sure that, we're seeing what we're seeing. We're seeing what we're seeing when our children are able to, move things, that they're able to know things, to tell you about things, to tell you about spirits, that we're talking to them through their mind. They have made many movies about this. One of the most important movies that you will understand back in the, I think it's the early 80s, is Firestarter, of how they were, doing experiments on people. And, two chosen ones that had a child, their child had, ESP. Okay, so we have these understandings that this is what they have been doing, that they're letting you know that they have been experimenting on the entire family and the children of these types of people, scientific, attacks. They have been trying to unalive these people by doing these types of work. Calling it scientific psychology, all of these different types of names that they have for it. But, this is what was going on in that movie, that he was trying to protect his daughter, after they had already unalived his wife. And you can watch this movie, The Firestarter, with, and I forgot her name. But, this type of movie, they want you to know what they're doing. This is why they have, the military scientists. This is why they have these types of people, why they will dispatch the military to attack black people. Because they want our gifts. They want us to, make innovations. They want us to make different types of contributions with our gifts. But they do not want reparations, want to pay reparations. And as a matter of fact, I think in the UN meeting, they went against reparations. NATO, they went against a lot of things. But they went against reparations, Israel and America, not to pay reparations to the people that they have been enslaving. Okay, and I think they were the only two countries to go against reparations, that are on the table. And so it's going to go forward anyway, because this is going to have to, break them, because they're ungrateful, because they're siphoning the gifts. They want to continue to become rich and greedy and be ungrateful off of siphoning the gifts of their people that they've enslaved, that they've harmed, that they've sent different types of, spells over their minds and their hearts. And we have been able to break out of a lot of those spells because of our spiritual gifts, of our belief in God. And there's nothing that they can do to, inhibit those gifts, because God did not give them to them. This is why that you will become under attack. This is why you will have to make sure that you know how to cloak your shining. You know how to cloak your children shining when they have certain types of gifts. And I hope that you understand this message, because a lot of you, would readily give your gifts away to be normal. But God gave you these gifts for a specific reason. And if you squander your gifts, if you give your gifts away, then it will be the equivalent as selling your soul for material gain. To be like the entity, to have, worldly gain. And I hope that you receive this message. Please book your one-on-one life coaching sessions, your consultations, so that I can acclimate a gift to your situation. Like, share, and subscribe to me. I'm High Oracle, Reiki Spiritual Healer. Assalamu alaikum.